Shelton here with you this evening. Welcome to another presentation here in the Issues Room. Volcano Shelton here with you. It's a pleasure to have you here with us. We invite you and say thank you ever so much for joining us here on this 217th broadcast. We're here on Tuesdays and Fridays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If this is your first time catching this platform, the Issues Room, just a quick detail. We're from Liberia, meaning the platform was established out of Liberia for the purpose of discussing Liberia, the African continent, and the diaspora. And interestingly, we've covered Liberia, Africa, and the diaspora. And lately, Liberia has been the most of our topics are coming out of Liberia, and tonight will be similar. So again, we say thank you. Welcome, Raymond Clark. It's a pleasure having you. Our many folks who come here and join us night in and night out when we show up here on Tuesdays and Fridays. In Liberia, it's about midnight, I would believe. And the folks in Liberia, we say welcome. You know, you have a new government. I'm hoping that electricity is now constant, if possible. So you have, electricity to be up and join us here tonight, or the data prices are coming down from Lone Star and that of what you call them, Orange, and whatever other network you guys are using locally. We say thank you. Utilize that time, invite someone, join us here for the conversation tonight. Appointments have been going on in the Boyka led government. He's made some appointments. He's named his foreign minister, um, who, of course, folks are questioning her credential, and she's made it known that she will present her credentials to the Senate if requested. Uh, there is a finance minister and many of his deputies. There is a public work minister who's been appointed or nominated, put it that way. There is a youth and sports minister, a gender minister, um, a justice minister, a minister of information. I heard one who has been on the show. I'm not sure how the conversation going to go tonight because we're going to be asking for the dissolution of the Ministry of Information, and so it's gonna be a tough one here. So hopefully our man, if he's still around, hasn't gone to take up his post and meet go for confirmation hearing. He can call us here tonight and make his case why his job should be kept. So many appointments have been made, and so it's getting along, but some of those appointments have been questioned by people who are even fanatics of the Unity Party. Some folks are saying, the deputy for the budget and development planning, one Tannen Bronson, has been there since the Ellen time into Wea, and apparently she's being protected because of a cartel syndicate within the legislature. Allegation is that the vice president is the one who selected her. In fact, not allegation, but Yeke Koluba. Let me just call his name because he was very emphatic that he's the one, Jeremiah Kuhn, who is keeping her there. And if there's a legislative syndicate where a cartel is running the budget to determine what goes in there and what their cuts are, and she's the one just allowing it to happen, then of course Jeremiah Cohen is in it. Now that he's heading the Senate, it even makes it worse. But we'll have all kinds of talk here tonight. So many things happening in Liberia every day, every day. We were on the other Famule here the other night. People were taking off for the Oma said she was sick, but not know she was receiving money and all kinds of things. So Moses, my man, they think they never finish, man. We we were where we are. We dealt with it. Now we kind of boycott it, man. When going what? How many days now? 5 days?
Uh, yeah,
Five,
5 days.
5 days.
Yeah, so we can say he has
Four
gone
and a
for
half days.
approximately a week.
No, 4.5 days. Because it was
No, my
12.
man, the man took on Monday, so
Yeah,
he
but
gone
it
for
was
5 days, my man.
almost it was 12 o'clock. A half of the day. That's 4.5. Let's get a minute benefit. 4.5 days.
Yeah.
There's so much
Mhm.
going on in 4.5 days, my man.
A lot.
People crying.
A lot is going on. Appointments, like you said, are being made in government, and some of these appointments, a lot of people have concerns about some of the individuals who are being appointed. And if I can quote President Buaka, he did say that this will not be as business as usual on Monday. That was his statement, meaning that he has come to clean house, right, Volcano?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Uh, as a let me break it out there as an individual, as a media person, I would take a personal position on this uh, beginning next week. I would take a personal position. I would offer a piece of advice to the administration because if you're going to make the difference, you got to start from day one. Like you said, we're hearing, oh, some people say they give money to the chairman of the Unity Party, and some people never got it, and he's so busy that he can't even come out to speak to the issue.
No, he did. He did. He spoke to the issue. He said the monies that he got, it was not the government of Liberia's money. It was money from the party.
Okay.
$365,000
Okay.
was the party's money that was
Okay.
dispersed to 15 heads of the party in the 15 counties.
Did he speak to the allegation that some people said they were to receive 5,000? Some people said they got 2,000. Some people said they got four.
I called him at
This
some
and that.
point. I called him at some point in his deliberation, but
We were deaf
sure.
into that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the monies were dispersed equitably,
Okay.
so I can't say. But
Yeah,
overall, he did say that he never received any money
from the government.
from the government.
Okay. Well, it's good you provided that clarification. I'll find time to watch that video, to watch that news conference, to better prepare me. As I I I prepare for taking a personal position as an individual. But like you said, for Canada, the news evolving out of Liberia is troubling. Uh, I mean, Volcano, you tell me this. Let me just digress a little bit. It has to do with this thing. This morning I was driving and I did listen to Mirror Bro, the Director General of the GSA. And she said that the rented 30 vehicles on a daily basis, the rental company charged $350 US. One vehicle, 350 US dollar. Volcano, you and
Ah,
I live in a developed country.
I was about to tell you stop. That's like driving an exotic SUV.
But Volcano,
Talking about the bump-proof Cadillac or high end.
and which is not true
For no, I'm saying for a day.
for a day.
I mean, I do rentals. I go rent. I want to go high scale, and sometimes you can ride what we call the Corvette,
Mm-hmm,
sports car for
mm-hmm,
a day.
mm-hmm.
One day that's the money.
For a Corvette.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
And
just saying, yeah, yeah.
I'm
So,
talking
so
about
most
I
most SUV now would be about $150 to $200.
yeah, Volcano, you and
But
I yeah would
those
rent
are high
yeah
class car. I mean, good.
our class. Yeah, you and I yeah would rent vehicles.
Even though
And we
prices have increased
yes, but
considerably, since the
and
COVID.
we're talking about a developed society. We don't pay that kind of money on a daily basis. When I heard this lady say that they pay for 2 days car rental, the
Mhm.
government pays $17,000. I couldn't wrap my head around that. I saw that as a waste, but let us not jump the gun. Let me just say thank you, and say thanks out to many people who are out
Okay,
there watching.
do you know the
Yeah.
press secretary? Do you know of this press secretary? Do you know anything
I
about that press secretary?
When her name
That's
came
a
out,
strange person. I don't know. I don't know.
yeah, I think for me personally, the name sounds strange. So when the name came out, I talked to some other colleague, and then I also researched her via social media. What I saw is that she is indeed a strong supporter of the Unity Party. I saw a couple of videos that she was on the campaign trail. I saw a photo with she and President Boakai. I think she had gone to his residence for a visit. She's from Grand Cape Mount County. I saw her campaigning in Cape Mount. So I'm also told that she won contested for representative position in Grand Cape Mount County. She lost. In terms of media work, I don't know. And I'm not trying to put her down, but I have not seen her work. I have not seen her byline. Maybe she's a print broadcaster. So
Print broadcaster. You mean to say print journalist?
yeah, I'm sorry. But man, that's not how it goes sometimes.
I want to correct
Maybe
you for the
no,
people.
you're absolutely right. It was an error on my part. Maybe she's a broadcaster, but again, the name doesn't resonate. In the era of print, I have not seen her byline before, because this is how people get to know who you are in the media. And we have not seen that. I saw a press release that emanated from the executive mansion that she put out there. So I assume she may have been the author of that press release. And look, Volcano, these people got to be serious. When you run a government, you're not running high school, government. Uh, for people in government to begin to issue press releases on flying sheets, what is the purpose of having the government letterhead, the executive mansion letterhead?
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, uh, in the past, what we
These
saw
are
when
these are
people
these
were,
are these
yes,
are the diplomatic etiquettes.
that's part of it, Volcano.
You understand me? These are the diplomatic etiquettes.
Yeah,
It gives verity, it gives validity,
to what is being bought.
information, so that people know that this is like those all the funny listeners that come here around. I saw one list with your name on it. Yeah, all gonna listen come here around. Some of them will say, "Some of
so
them, let
so
them
they got my list,
come."
they got my name as well, the janitor.
Oh god. No, they said they
Yeah.
sent you to Lena.
Well, man, the discussion tonight is going to
So
be
you can,
very interesting,
so you can
Volcano.
go pick up, so you can go pick up the Lena panorama. You don't want to take over.
I'll be the director general.
Oh,
Well, look, but man, on the most serious note, look, you and I, in fact, the issue room was,
honestly, you know what?
what?
Let us not say that we don't want new people on a block.
Mhm.
We advocate for that. We
Yeah, we
advocate.
did. We worked extremely
We
hard.
just want to ensure that at least those folks who are coming as new on the block, should get the right grooming, be able to understand, know their function, and be willing to learn and humble themselves.
Yeah,
Because you got to start from somewhere. And so I hope this press secretary will do well.
I hope so.
It's a very serious position. It's
Very
not
serious.
it's not that thing what we are then were doing. He put his press secretary, the man got sick. He came by, he sat on in America, then the
For all
deputy
the time you
asked
were
to go
getting
around the
paid,
press
yeah.
and say he commentating, and that's not the role of the press secretary to be all. Where did you see those guys commentating, Patrick Cumming and commentating?
No, but
Eh,
that's not the role.
You
That's not
know,
the role of the president. You,
see,
that's why you have
because
a
they can't write,
communication team. Yeah.
because they're not able to write the story, so they turn into social media
Yeah, and do all kinds of fun. Yeah.
commentators.
Hmm.
That's what happens. That's
Yeah,
what you find with all of these guys who are now press secretaries. They just pick up the microphone and cover the man. And and leaving the job for LB. I mean, taking LBS job.
The LBS's
Yeah,
role there.
you know.
Yeah.
So why
Mhm.
is LBS not assigning?
Reporters on his,
And
of
yeah,
foreign
numbers.
travel. But
Because
I'm
Patrick
sure Mr.
Benjo
Barker is
is
going
going
to
to
change
but you
things
know why?
around.
You know why?
What? Mhm.
Because the people changed the entire way these institutions ran as a result of you got it, you handle it, no check and balance.
Yeah.
As
Hmm.
a result,
I agree.
they deprive a lot of those boys from growing. You know, most of the boys didn't. When Patrick Manjo, I remember when he went to cover the inauguration of Nelson Mandela.
Hmm.
LBS went, and I think it was Kwamakwa who was state council man.
State
Still,
councilman there.
still remember, Kwamakwa just didn't go himself. He knew that that
He
was
needed a reporter, a good reporter too.
to go and cover. Yeah, so
Yeah.
a lot of you guys just go and do these things. But let's hope for the best for her. But yeah, Moses. So we've come here tonight. Good that we kind of splinter around some of these things. But as we begin this conversation tonight, we all have longed for a new day.
Hmm.
We always looking for. And by the way, let me quickly post this. Uh, as we're talking. So yeah, my man. Jackie McCaffrey said he rented an SUV for 6 days and his bill came almost to $600,
You see
including
that?
insurance. So maybe
Yes.
it was about $85, $80 plus tax and insurance. That
Yes.
right
Mhm.
there, six
Yeah.
days in the ballpark.
And we're talking about developed control,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
United States,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
And,
good
and-
vehicle with rental, everything. I
yeah,
mean, with insurance, everything,
with lean,
roadside assistance, everything
with
covered.
lean detector,
Eh?
with lean detector
Yeah,
backup,
lane detector,
all the
everything.
sophistications.
Very sophistication,
All the sophistication. But those
Six.
SUV in la bureau, sometimes the AC not working. I don't want I don't want to talking about the
No.
$250.
Yeah, Thomas, my man, thank you. It's good to hear from you. Give me too. Yeah,
So
go ahead.
as I was saying, right? So we long for change, but part of this change is to take a critical look at the structure. President Barker said that the country was lacking leadership. We interviewed him here. I interviewed him in Liberia, just in a short conversation. Uh, And he continued to say that the country needed to be rescued.
Hmm.
So when you come to rescue something, you want to do an enormous amount of critical overview, analytical overview, total overhauling of the situation, the system, the whatever, the condition, whatever it is, to know where to start from.
Hmm.
This is not about the anxiety to put people in government or run a government or get ready to run a government. The anxiety is to first analyze what you are inheriting. Begin from that step of day one. Now, we agree that he must appoint people into these positions to occupy them. But as we go along, putting people again, are we going to bloat our government? Are we going to bring institution or keep institution rather, or create new institutions that are not viable, that continue to bloat our public
Yeah,
service and
you
our
gotta
civil
bloat that
service?
workforce.
Or do we begin to analyze and say, what's there that we can get away with, take that money and put it into something else? It's so important. So, as part of our conversation behind the scene to discuss this topic, we thought the Ministry of Information is one place, considering where our country is now, where the world is, that has no viability in today's Liberia. You mentioned it being an archaic institution, because the work of the Ministry of Information is being done by citizen journalists, it's being done by the Spoon Network, it's being done by the Issues Room, the Class Reloaded, the closing argument that have closed and never open again. All of these different institutions, you will call them, the local radio stations, um, is so vast in the country. Social media is so vast that even the man who is in Lofa County tonight, or the what they call inducting a town chief in, he go on his cell phone and that is going global. So why would Lena be going there to get our news locally to send it back to Monrovia to form part of the national news?
Yeah.
So information, Lena, let's start with them.
Okay.
What did you say?
Well said, Volcano. Let's look at the role of the Ministry of Information. The Ministry of Information was created by a legislative enactment. A law was, passed, creating the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs, and Tourism. So, the fundamental role of the Ministry of Information.
And I want you to pause on the cultural affairs and tourism. We're putting that in, we'll just keep that part in a pocket. Let's just
Mhm,
focus on the
mhm. I
information
just,
component.
yeah,
Yeah, I know.
I
Yeah, I
just
know
wanted people
people
to
to
have a
do
broad
names, but I
understanding.
want
Yeah,
us to focus on the information component.
yeah. So the Ministry of Information role is to propagate government information. I'm not saying propaganda. I am saying propagate, to spread, to broadcast, to disseminate government information. You know, uh, communication is very critical. Um, every institution is like the human body. Communication and the viability of any society and the viability of any government, they are inseparable. No government thrives in the absence of effective communication. So the founding fathers of Liberia said that as a government, there's a need to have an outlet that will propagate the government messages to its citizens. What is happening at the various ministries, what is happening in and outside of the country, so people can be aware. It was predicated on that the Ministry of Information was established. So the Ministry of Information is, let me say, the Minister of Information is the official spokesperson of the Liberian government. Uh, the reason why they did that to ensure that there's coordination for all the various ministries. So the man who comes and say, "Look, this is the position of government," is the Minister of Information. If something happens, like Bureau with another country, man will come and propagate that is the Minister of Information. So their job is to make sure that information is well coordinated at various entities of government and the information is also put out. Now, to do this effectively, this is what the Liberian government did over the year. They established the new Liberian newspaper, which is no longer in existence because of financial hardship. The new Liberian newspaper was established primarily to handle the aspect of print journalism, get government information, tell the government story, project the positive image of the government. But today, and governments over the year pay little or no attention to the new Liberian newspaper. The new Liberian newspaper, even if it is functioning now in terms of publication, that has become dismal. The people has literally faded out. Okay. Then what the government also did, it created what they call the Central Printing Press. Uh, on Gurley Street, there's a building called the CPI. The government set up that for the printing of all official, you know, uh, 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 um, documents. You have foreign leaders coming in, programs, you have printing of the newspapers, making sure anything that has to do with publication was done. They brought in, equipment from the broad. They said it. If you go to the CPR today, everything is what? Completely non-functional. So people just go and hang around at the end of the month when they give them that $25 or the $45 paycheck. That's it. Basically, know what to do, in summary. Okay. So the CPI is operating on the government right now. It's not performing that role. Okay. Um, then what it did to ensure that the ministry are also helping out with broadcasting of government messages, they set up a division called the Broadcasting Division at the Ministry of Information. They hire vernacular producers. You used to see them, when we are LBS guys would come there to do the recording. So they hire, vernacular, producers that came and propagated the government messages, because the level of illiteracy in the country, not everybody, has that capability to rather follow the news as it is being broadcast in formal English. So they
I'll pause
recruited
you
people who could better. Eh?
I'll pause you there quick. So there
Y-
was a degree of redundancy there because LBS had local
Yeah,
vernacular
I agree.
broadcasters all over the country. Then
Yeah,
the Ministry of Information again, Gaye una broadcaster, let me speak the Liberian way. Gaye una broadcasters too who were vernacular reporters.
part of the redundancy. Yeah,
Okay, so continue.
yeah. So the harder guys there, to tell the government stories throughout. Then to ensure that government stories was being told, to ensure that information was being breached, was reaching the people, the government, with its support of for the international community, especially the German government, established what they call the Liberian News Agency. The role of the Liberian News Agency um, then was to gather government information, was to gather news around the country. So they set up bureaus. They had correspondents all over the country. I'm saying this because I literally grew up at the Ministry of Information. And let me let people know me a little bit. I went to BWI, I studied electronics, but journalism has always been my passion. When on BWI, before you graduate, they send you for job training. So my junior year before graduation, they sent me to the Ministry of Information. I was in the technical department there as student studying electronics. But I always wanted to be a journalist.
You had your one
And then
hour and your soldering gun.
yeah, everything I was there doing that, but my passion was journalism.
Mhm.
So I worked there after graduating from high school. I had a privilege of being hired by the ministry. I went to the ministry in 1989 as a corp reporter. That's how I started my career in journalism. I was there as a corp reporter. I was assigned to the television department as a reporter. But Volcano, I demonstrated competence when I was hired. Every time they would send us in the field as corp reporters with the senior reporters, and I would just write stuff and come and give them directly to the television department head. So one time this guy walked in the newsroom, he said, "Young man, come." And I went to his office. He said, "Today we're going to have a meeting. I want you to attend that meeting." Volcano, I panicked and I was wondering, but why did man want me in this meeting? So I went to this meeting. Everybody's sitting there, all these senior reporters, and after some time, he told the guy, he said, "Look, I invited this young man here. I want to say something." And everyone on them turned around and look at me. He said, "Look, this guy is a cop reporter, but he writes better than some of the senior reporters we have here. So I'm going to elevate him to a full reporter. And because I think he has the potential to grow, that how come I became a full-time reporter at the Ministry of Information. The rest became history. So I'm talking about an institution that I know. I grew up there. So Lena was set up. Coming back to Lena was set up to gather the news. Uh, those days they had, I think you may have heard about the telegram, fax messages. So they had reporters across the country that was transmitting information to Monrovia. Monrovia processed that information, and then they used to give out what they call the Lena Bulletin. You may know that,
Mhm.
where they send stories to various newspapers, they send stories abroad, and all of that. Over the years, the role of Lena has diminished. The German government, you know,
Stop funding.
stopped the funding, and I'm talking about during Mr. Dole's era.
Mm-hmm.
The funding stopped. The various bureaus who had that had reporters, they could no longer sustain them. The reporters never had vehicles. The effectiveness and the world being a global village, communication popping up here and there, Lena's role became diminished. You understand? So over the years, Lena has not been able to really perform because Volcano, like you said, the man in Vonjama can call a news conference. You don't need a Lena correspondent to be there because everybody got what cell phones now. They call a news conference before you look, everything is gone. I mean, everything is out there. So
So
you can stay at home and watch exactly what happened in Vonjama in your newsroom and do a story from there.
so Tio some points here. He asking three questions, and I want to
Hmm.
go on with him quickly. He says, "So how do you regulate the media? Are you going to
Okay,
council?"
absolutely, very good. And we will come to that. It's good that he
Yeah.
said that.
So
The
then
Ministry of Information also has a regulatory role.
I'm coming. We'll come to that.
Yeah, the issuing of licenses to media institution. And the Ministry of Information has that role to play.
Okay.
Okay. So but when it comes to the effectiveness of doing its work in these areas I'm making reference to this Lena has no sub office in rural Liberia. Why would you keep few people at the Ministry of Information and you pay them salary basically to just go and sit around?
And then one man take the his
You have one man, you call him Director General.
he takes his
Yeah,
cell phone and he turned to Lena Panorama.
yes. Volcano, is that comprehensible? It is insane. You will hire Moses Sandy as Director General. You're not saying reporter. Moses Sandy, you Director General of Lena. And I'm all in the street with one little cell phone in my hand. I'm literally running after stories. You know what it means to be a Director General? You are a senior administrator. You manage the affairs of the entity. You should be involved with policy formulation, enforcement of institutional policies, recruiting competent people, making sure that the various bureaus are functional. But because no job, you have old men coming weeks, literally trying to do something.
Opa.
Opa Kwame Weeks, literally trying to do something. So it means Lena is dead. Volcano in the two in the 2020, I mean in 2022, the former Minister of Information, Lajehu Rene, he announced not only to Liberians, to the world, that the operational budget for the ministry was $17,500. Even my daughter, who just graduated from college, she made 5 times of that on an annual basis. And you want one Ministry of Information with 17,005? Something must be wrong with these people.
Yeah. So let's so you give some detailed
Mhm.
background about it.
Yeah.
So
So
so so
yeah.
all right. Because
So the point I would like to drive,
yeah, we gotta move
the
on.
information ministry today
Mhm.
is more of a burden on government.
Okay.
We don't need it.
Okay.
If I were President Joseph Boakai, this is what I would do. I will make sure that the executive mansion has a very effective communication team. You don't need no minister of information. What is he going to do? All the various sectors that is supposed to be running, they are all dead. They may just go and stay at the office. Nothing to do. All you need to do, you put in place an effective communication team at the ministry, at the executive mansion. The press secretary will speak for the government.
And so coordinate all of the.
We coordinate, and then what you do, you have the since the Ministry of Information has the authority to regulate licenses. You, especially for broadcast entity, you assign that to the Liberia Telecommunication Authority. That hey, you run the communication sector, you will be given the authority to regulate who registered, who gets a license to operate a radio or television station in this country. You do that. For print journalism, what you do, you work in collaboration with the Press Union of Liberia because they know their colleagues, and you set up a very small team that will make sure that they will coordinate, they will vet with the Publisher Association to determine who gets registered as a newspaper or not.
So let me put this point quick to you.
Yeah.
I would say that based on what you said, that the press secretary now will be someone who is
The
balanced.
official person, yeah.
Tell me, Moses. Someone who is balanced in public speaking and in good writing.
Absolutely.
All right. And
Mhm.
that person should be paid twice than what they're being paid now.
The
And why
person
is it
should be
twice?
paid well, and that person should be a
Yeah.
highly educated and
Yeah.
effective communicator.
Something like, I'm gonna just throw a name out there, like a Kwame Clement,
Yes.
who is balanced on both sides of
It's
the
Valon who knows the issue, who can better articulate the issue.
yeah. And then pay
You
him,
don't want
pay
you
him
don't want
well.
somebody that will issue a press release and people are literally picking all the grammatical errors.
Okay.
No, you don't want
Even
that.
when he goes to speak, he's not speaking with authority because
Yeah,
he's
you
not
want
trying to
someone.
deliberate and present the
Mhm.
subject matter or the issue of the day.
Yeah.
Because then you are the president's mouthpiece, put it
Mhm.
that way, right?
Yeah, you're gonna
So,
be the
so the other question is, Theo is asking here, where is the accountability for reliable news? If you scrap the Ministry of
Ministry of Information.
that part and Lena,
And,
and
and Fab or Volcano,
let me just
this question here, you and I can answer it, right?
let me just usher in quickly. Let me just usher in accountability on this conversation. Hope you are following, but you're
Yeah.
coming shortly. Just let Moses answer this quick.
Yeah. So Volcano, this is where the entity that you and I spent years working for comes in. The role of LBS is to what disseminate government information, develop programs that will help to unify, develop programs that will help to educate the people of Liberia about government programs and policies. You need a viable LBS. You invest a lot into LBS. That's what I would do if I were president today. I will make LBS number one. I will hire a director general who is on top of the game, and I will pay you well. I will pay your deputies well. We will make the country covered.
And one of the things that Samuel Doe did, and that
Mhm.
was so remarkable,
Yeah,
he brought back some of the very smart people. They were not director generals or so. They
mhm.
were not BBP, but they just paid them decent.
Pay
And
them
the right
decent
team.
salaries. Yeah,
And our news practitioners, our broadcast practitioners, you know, they were top notch. But
top
let's hear
notch.
from Alfonso quickly before
Yeah.
we
Give it
wrap
to
up
Alfonso.
all of
Yeah,
this conversation.
welcome, Alfonso.
Yeah, guys. Good to be here. Sorry, man. I thought I would make it on time. Accident on 95, the road were black for a while. I just got
Yeah,
home. Yeah, but I didn't follow what the Ministry of Information LBS was, but I think I can try to speak to it a little bit.
But you saw the flyer. The context of this conversation is: do we
Yeah.
really need a Ministry of Information? And
Okay.
no,
Okay.
right now,
Okay. Yeah.
we pocketing. Hold on, we pocketing the cultural affairs and
Mhm.
tourism part. We're not
yeah. We're
Yeah.
just talking about
talking
information
about
aspect.
information, and the
Okay.
backdrop is that because we have social media, the proliferation of social media, the
Mhm.
proliferation of radio stations in the country, citizen journalism, all these facets through which news can come in real time.
Mhm.
What is the essence of having the Ministry of Information and a chief spokesman when the press secretary we're talking about here in the context of a person who is well outspoken
Mhm.
and can write well and put a press team together
A
to
very effective,
yeah, so that was
very
Yeah.
effective
Okay.
communication team.
I
Yeah.
I agree with you guys. I think the issue of the Ministry of Information needs to be looked into. and a decision needs to be made whether we actually need the information portfolio, and also look at what it is. What is the information portfolio of the Ministry of Information? What is it supposed to do? When it was founded, my understanding is that it was supposed to be the coordinating arm of
Yes, that is.
information
And
dissemination.
Moses covered that.
Yeah, okay. So you have Liberia News Agency, which came out later, Lena. You have ELBC, and then eventually you have the local media institutions such as the radio station in Vanjaman, the one in Radio, the one in Sino, etc., and then they coordinate all of that. But as you said, as you both said, from what I heard from the tail end of things, I mean, if you have ELBC, or you have let's just say LBS, like your broadcasting system.
System, yeah.
Yeah. And then you also have the local radio stations, and you have Liberia News Agency. You probably do not need a Ministry of Information with staff and ministers to run those entities. All you have to do is give capacity to those other institutions, and they can run as independent institutions.
But we also want to close down Lina.
Yeah, Lena can go.
Yeah,
Lena is
yeah.
not making any input.
Lena was established during the days when information dissemination was extremely difficult. You didn't have local institutions around the country doing that. You didn't have newspapers in the counties. You didn't have anything. So Lena's role was to actually gather news from around the
Raw
country,
era.
in rural places, and disseminate it not just to the Liberia broadcasting system, but to private newspapers and radio stations as well,
Yeah.
so that they can, and again, and of course, it was also the government's way of disseminating information. But yeah, what's the role of Lena right now? I think
So,
those are
so,
things.
so listen to Thomas Awaji here. He said we
Mhm,
need sound, credible, established private media institutions.
mhm.
The days of government-run media are over. What information is the ministry sharing with the people that did not already know?
Yeah,
Because we talk
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
The chief who is getting inducted into chieftaincy way out there in
In
Weah
Vonjaman.
village. No, in Weah village. All the way up there in Saskatoon.
Where are you putting them, my man? We are for about.
Way up there in Saskatoon. One of the boys in the neighborhood would pick up his cell phone, he would record the whole thing and go live. And Monrovia already pick it up. Social media in the diaspora will pick it up.
here's one thing though. You're right, but here's one thing I want to
Mhm.
say about that. So the young man with his whatever cell phone and the private radio station or private they have private vested interests. Some of them are commercial; they want to make money. Some of them are promoting politicians or businesses and stuff. So they might not be focused on civic information dissemination, civic education pieces. For example, if you look at, I mean, I wasn't, I didn't see those. I read about them later. But under President Tauber, for example, the Ministry of Information was actually providing a civic education to the people. For example, on the issue of corruption or whatever, the Ministry of Information was printing billboards and letterheads talking about don't do corruption, it's wrong, no bribery, those kinds of things. The Ministry of Information was printing billboards about agriculture,
So yeah,
promoting
so
government policies
Alfonso,
and
instead
things.
of dwelling on
So
it
the
long,
private radio station might not
yeah, but we're
be
not dwelling on the private radio station. We're saying
Mhm,
that there is just that extra conduits through which
mhm.
information is being brought to
Yeah,
light. But
yeah.
the issue here, those things that you gave example for, are
Mhm.
things that LBS can do,
Of course.
are things that the press secretary with
Mhm.
the coordination of a strong press team that Moses
Communication
talked
team. Yeah.
about. Once the president goes to cabinet meeting, the press secretary is covering it with some of his team, and they want to bring some of those things back to the public. They come through LBS as the conduit, and those things are taken care of. We also have the Liberian Telecommunications Corporation
Authority.
and Authority. They can be responsible, as Moses said, for licensing and all of that.
Mhm.
Um, but when you look at all of these unnecessary assistant ministers,
Yeah. Mhm.
unnecessary, and the funny thing here is that the institution is so underfunded to the point that it lost its viability,
Of course.
it lost the credibility, it lost the institutional clout. So you remember when we were journalists? Oh man, when somebody see you call and need a man shaking, that'll be
Yeah.
your friend.
Yeah, that'll be a
So then
fun,
that's
man.
zero.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Nobody cares.
yeah,
They know superstars,
yeah.
you know. And when you look at the issue of the Ministry of Information, what has happened over the last several years under WIA, it's just demoralizing to say that you want to continue to pay people for doing nothing,
Yeah.
pay people for what other people. How much did he use his own information minister when he got mad?
But the men never
Silence the
even
government.
had access to the president.
You understand me? So that tells you that there can be a time when that ministry becomes inviable.
So here's what I would do. I would try. I would attempt. I would put two things on the table. If I were appointed to the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs, and Tourism, or if I were close to Barker such that he would listen to my suggestions, I would make two suggestions and he can pick one. Suggestion number one: the ministry can be there as the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs, and Tourism, but have a specific non-political role, such as what they're doing now, to promote the cultural heritage of the country. So the role would be, refined to promoting the cultural heritage of the country, to promoting tourism in the country, and to promoting other government aspects such as fighting corruption, those kinds of things. And then you keep it that way, so that the Minister of Information is now holding press conferences about the president
So
said
you
this.
went. So I will pause you there, and
That's
I
one
like.
suggestion. Yes.
So let's take that suggestion and put it in the suggestion basket because
Yeah.
that suggestion we're going to split it again. That's
Yeah.
why we kept tourism,
I
Tourism
agree.
on the
culture.
side.
We
Yeah.
still don't want no information. So we need no man with the title information minister to be talking about culture and to be
Basically,
talking about
no.
what do you call it, tourism. We'll come back. Well, we'll
Okay.
put
Yeah.
that suggestion.
And
Let's go to the second one.
Let's go
no.
to the
Oh.
second suggestion.
Oh.
The
Okay.
second suggestion is scrap the information component, which is what both of you have been
There
saying,
you go. Now you come in.
and even split up the two that are left. So you remove the three. You remember the three:
We got
Yeah.
something here for
Remove
you.
Lena.
We got something here for you.
culture and tourism. Split the two. Tourism should be separate. Culture can be separate. If that would be my second suggestion, because tourism is extremely critical, extremely critical. It can be a significant revenue generating center for the government. But if you link it to information and all of those things, then it limits it.
All right.
Make it a separate bureau.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
that that would be my second suggestion to.
so let's go quick to till some point again quickly. He says here private media has the propensity to provide misinformation and biased news reporting. So I think he's one of the people who is propagating that the Ministry of Information stays because he thinks that
Stays
he
there.
sees the
Yeah.
viability. But I will let you respond to that because I could, but I will let you respond to that, Moses.
Yeah.
Private media institutions will have biases
Of course.
because
That's what they say. Private is about money making. Yeah.
they're created for by politicians
Mhm.
who serve in the very government. They're created by people with their own motives to propagate their own agenda.
Mhm.
So you find that
It's common.
you'll find a very LBS based on who in control of LBS and their loyalty to the person who appoints them, not understanding that it's taxpayers' money that is run by LBS, um, and that LBS should at least make 50% of its own income so that it shows neutrality and give all Liberians the opportunity to be heard.
Yeah.
Then, of course, it creates bias as well. You getting what I'm saying?
I got you. Yeah.
So anyhow you look at it, it boils down to the intent and the mandate given to an institution and how that institution should be run.
Yeah. Okay. If I can just come in on that, right? That's why LBS is referred to as the state
Um,
owned,
they say
meaning
they
that
say President Boyka
yeah, they say the state owned.
Mhm.
So if we were to really go by what the law, that created LBS says,
Mhm.
then LBS should only be what propagating nothing but the truth. You don't want an LBS that gave over 70% of its broadcast content to George Weah and the CDC. You want an LBS that will say, hey, Moses Sandy comes from opposition. Volcano Saxon is from opposition. We have Alphonso from the ruling government. It will give Moses Sandy 10 minutes to come and share his opinion. We'll give Volcano the same 10 minutes. We'll give Alphonso the same 10 minutes. Play that role of neutrality. LBS role is what? To sustain the peace, the cohesiveness, the civil education that Alfonso talked about. This is what I said if I were President Joseph Boakai, my investment would be in LBS, making sure that the law that created LBS is upheld to the letter. Civil education, educating our people about what we are doing as a government, helping with the reconciliation process, helping to tell the people our position as a government regarding the issue of graft, develop very programs, radio programs, television programs that will caution people that, hey, we don't need to, cheat ourselves. Do that. But what good is the Minister of Information, or what good is the Ministry of Information when the only outlet they had, the newspaper, Volcano, is down? You have no printing press. You have less than 3 functional vehicles. You have no technical department, but yet you got a deputy minister at the Ministry of Information calling himself deputy for technical affairs. What technical were you doing?
Then the other man who can be bragging on his one national little job he got, I
Yeah,
call him no name.
yeah, I know.
Deputy
You
Minister, Honorable Deputy Minister of
yeah, because you're
Public
assistant
Affairs.
minister, my man, you don't even have a bicycle. Volcano, you will leave your job in the United States and you go to the Ministry of Information and they make you and deputy minister, you have to be asking people for ride? Do you know what it means to be a minister?
Moses, I
So,
think
No.
Moses,
gentlemen,
I think you are measuring the importance of the entity to the mismanagement of, you are equating
The
the
government is
importance of the
underfunding
entity
the
to
ministry.
the mismanagement and that was carried out under we the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism, if run well, and if you look at the mandate,
no. If supported and run well,
thank you. Thank you for adding that component. If supported and run well, can be critical. I just texted you both something. Uh, it's uh, it's something from I believe early 1980s. No, before the 1980 or something or whatever. I don't know the year. And if you, I would see it, but if you can post it. And this is what it says. And there's a poster from the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs, and Tourism. I
Yeah, but
sent
they
it to
said,
our, yeah,
I mean, I agree with you.
yeah,
Civil education.
yeah. It said we must win the war against ignorance, disease, and poverty. The
Absolutely.
same thing that was going on with the mat to mattress,
Hmm.
green revolution, agriculture. So that role can be played. There is a role for that. However, over the years, they left the founding principles of that ministry aside and just turned it mainly interject political whole press conference, they defend the president, defend the government,
Yeah.
even when they're lying through their ears and their
Yeah.
noses.
Misrepresenting the
Yeah,
truth.
misrepresented to just lying. And then, of course, in this last administration, they just abandoned that portfolio completely. So we, and I think we are looking at the ministry through those lenses of neglect and abandonment and falsehood and lying to the point that it's not even relevant anymore. But I want to real quickly just respond to what Tio Sampon said. Tio Sampon makes a point. Tio Sampon, I think, makes an important point. And as much as we all don't agree in general, but he makes an important point, which is that the private media institution, the whatever the George Weah, the radio station, for instance, that George Weah owned, the radio station that his NSA boss owned, those people are not going to try to propagate. They don't have an obligation, civic obligation to propagate the truth. And we experienced it. They never did. They never did. They all, it was propaganda. It was whatever. So the idea of creating a public media institution, a public entity, is to A, provide everybody equal access, as you said, Moses, and as you said, Volcano, and B, to provide the public the truth of what's going on in the country. Fox News tells a different story here. MSNBC tells a different story. CNN tells a different story here. The problem is they're seeking their interest. That's
Good.
why it's important to have that bridge, an institution that belongs to the people and that serves the people.
And
Unfortunately, corrupt politicians have corrupted the system so much that it's no longer the people.
But then, let me come in quick and say that that breach cannot be the Ministry of Information,
no.
because for the little that I know here in America, the National Public Radio,
Mhm.
you know, who's a non-profit, because
Mhm.
Yes.
I did pro bono service for one of the
Pub-
non-profit radios in Atlanta.
mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I used to go there and do work with them, do live broadcast. I did it here in Philadelphia as well. Those institutions are non-profit organizations that
Mhm.
get the support through uh, what they call um,
Donations.
donations and fees,
Mhm.
membership fees,
Mhm.
right? So they
Mhm.
owe loyalty to no government. They owe loyalty to no particular institution. They are for the people.
Mhm.
They are for the people. Can we set up something like that or turn LBS into that?
Yeah. And NPR does get, we can turn IBS into that, but NPR does get funding from the government as well. So it's a private public partnership. You get some funding from the government, and then
But
as you said,
that funding is not fundamentally the absolute funding that make them
yeah,
to be answerable
yeah,
to the
no,
government. So you
yeah,
see the point I'm trying to drive here, that
I get your point. I get your
So
point.
LBS was and should be
Yeah,
in part
yeah,
supported by the government.
yeah.
Yeah.
But today, the government takes over all of LBS responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Because why? They put a director general, they
Mm-hmm.
put a deputy and whoever. They're not able to generate their own income to
Exactly.
sustain the 50%, so
Mm-hmm.
that they're not that answerable to the government. And there's that dichotomy should be drawn, that even as much you put me here, I would propagate for you, but every citizen has equal right to this
Mm-hmm.
institution.
Absolutely. And I
And
agree with you.
Yes.
I agree. Let me add quickly. I'm sure Moses want to come in. Let me add
Mm-hmm.
quickly. Even if they're not generating their own money, it still shouldn't be one-sided with the administration of the day. The reason is that they are still being supported by the Liberian people, by the taxpayers, by every citizen in the country. Therefore, every citizen in the country should have equal airtime, equal access to the services that they provide. And you're right. If we, I mean, you were there, you guys worked there, I was around. Um, ELBC, LBS was generating revenue. When I ran
oh man, hold on, man. Let me make a quick joke. The,
just the people wrong, we
the,
pay
the,
you. When
yeah,
we pay you,
the most important revenues right now,
yeah,
I would believe, just by visiting Liberia, that the small request, the death announcement,
yeah.
and those few churches that carry
Yeah.
the church
Yeah,
services
regular.
on
Yeah.
radio. Because when an institution is not choked,
Yeah.
right, to provide for itself,
Yeah.
then it becomes lazy. What
Exactly.
happened with the NTA, the National Transit Authority? They
You
Mhm.
see?
cannot even sustain a bus on the road, but yet its director general sat at the Senate and said that the only money they're getting from the government are salaries. So imagine we're paying you to give us nothing. So if you look at the case of LBS, then with all of the other radio stations that are competing for the same little ads, the same request, the same dev announcement, the same public service uh, to churches and
Mhm.
commercials and stuff,
Mhm.
how much in that pot to even put fuel in the generator when there's no electricity? But because the government will put in the budget monies to give to them to run the radio station, pay the salary, then it becomes business as usual. And that is
Absolutely.
why Joe Boyka, according to Moses, need to take a critical look and to start appointing, instead of appointing, part of the discussion for this 100 days, this new government, this new president and his team should begin to think and say, wait a minute, where priorities lie now. Let's focus on the priorities area. If there's a reason that we can't continue to support the NTA, then we must close the NTA down. If we don't think LBS, information is
Lynn.
viable, Lena is viable, then we can put we can reposition those people in places. Hopefully, they got other skill set. We can utilize them, but then to focus being an institution that has no viability, that has no contribution to provide for national sustenance and nation building. That would be the way to go.
Absolutely. Well said, Volcano. And just to piggyback on that, Volcano, what good is it to have a deputy for administration at Lena, to have a director general, to have a deputy for
Technical service.
fiscal management or whatever, and you have no bureaus around the country? But these people are paid monthly. So you're basically paying people for doing nothing. You pay people to go to office, they have no computers. They have no equipment to work with. You call somebody deputy minister or assistant minister for technical services at the Ministry of Information. The man goes to work, he spends the 8 hours playing video game. Why? You don't. So, Volcano, Alfonso, like you were
Man who
saying,
spend 8 hours playing video
yeah.
games, then spend 2 hours and go for lunch and never come back.
No, but man, I want to measure the man, productivity on what we do here. When you and I go, we are busy. We got stuff to do. It's 8 hours, it's 8 hours, right? So now give it to them. You get a man, 8 hours. The man spend the entire 8 hour. He got his legs crossed in his office. People running in and out. He telling people, say, go and get my Dumba, do this, do that. At the same time, he playing video game. At the end of the day, he goes on the next day, and this man has what? He has a driver. He has an aide in the office. He has administrative assistant,
Mhm.
and the list goes on. Do you know how much you will be draining from the public coffer for somebody that does nothing?
So Moses, let's go on with this conversation quick. If you just joining us, welcome to the issues room. Here we're looking at the issue of the Ministry of Information, Lena. Are these two entities needed in this day and time, especially as we want to look at the new direction this country has to take? Do we continue to put monies into things that not necessary when those monies can be used for other purposes? However, the Ministry of Information is a component, or the information rather is a component, the information arm is a component of the ministry,
Yeah,
coupled with culture affairs and tourism.
absolutely.
So in my proposal, and we can discuss it, I thought you said you wanted it separate, but I won't think that it should be separate because tourism and culture, they come together in the context of
Yeah, but I won.
when
Yeah.
people come to visit, they want to
Mhm.
see the relics, they want to see the history of the culture history of the country, they want to do
Mhm.
that. So it's a part of it. Then I thought to add hospitality. So
Everything in that
the
category.
new
Yeah.
ministry
One
should
on one.
be called the Ministry of Tourism, Hospitality, and Culture Affairs.
That's good.
The
You can
Ministry of
make
Tourism,
it a department volcano.
Hospitality, and Culture Affairs. Department ministries. You know that some department can be as big as ministry
Of course.
because when they won't put all the men in there to get job. so
Of course.
so the name shouldn't be the issue. It is the size and of efficient
And
staff.
the efficiency, I agree with you.
Staffing should be efficient. So the new ministry should be tourism, hospitality, and culture affairs. Let's discuss that, and let's discuss the importance of such a ministry or a department or a bureau, whatever we want to call it. Let's discuss it compared to information at this point. Let's start
Okay.
with Alfonso saying
Yeah, go ahead, Alfonso.
I I I really will focus on tourism. Tourism is extremely critical. It's a big revenue generating arm of
and
any.
mind you, brother,
Yeah.
Waka has it in his arrest plan. The
Yes,
T is
exactly.
for tourism.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I just wanted to lay that out so you.
And you're right. You're right. And I did a little study in a little paper when we are then were there, and I try to share publicly that resources are available internationally. People are clamoring to provide, to help our developing countries. In my research, I found out that developing countries in sub-Saharan Africa, African countries, actually made more money from tourism.
The Gambia is one
Yeah.
example.
In the last decade, than all of the foreign direct investment and all of the aid that they receive from country. America get aid, Germany get aid. They made money from tourism more than the aid that they got. So, and Liberia has a great tourism potential, great tourism potential. And one of the places I focused on in our paper was just right in Monrovia there. That place that we are was calling Bali Island that he wanted to drive to swim and build a place. That place is a Ramstar preserved site. Ramstar is this international institution that that looks at historic places, places that have historic resources and preserves them. So it's a Ramstar site. Why? It has rare species, some of which are going extinct. We got a dwarf alligator. We have the Nile alligator in those places. We have bird species. We have trees over there. To the point that Ramstar designated that place and gave Liberia some money for that. Now, what can we do with that? That's a tourist attraction right there. All you gotta do, and as I propose in that paper, just dredge that river. Dredge that river so the mud not there, so whatever not there, build a central pool and put inside it. Put a few boats on it. You can be on the boat and be riding, and you will see the dwarf alligator will come up. You will see the Nile alligator will come up. You'll see the birds. What is tourism? What that's exact. Go to Florida.
Let me
That's
ask,
what they
let
do.
me just buttress your point.
Yeah,
Growing up,
yeah.
I've always longed for our national zoo
Hmm.
to just be a natural habitat. So the very peace island that these people just went and squatted on,
Yes.
that place was a full mangrove with all of the different monkeys you can think
Thank you.
about. We
Thank you.
used to go down in those
Yeah,
swamps to catch kids,
yeah,
kiss
yeah,
meat,
yeah,
fishing, and do things when we were small boys in Pinsville growing up in our
yeah,
Congo Town area, all there. The very Pagos Island that
yeah,
the squatters have taken over, that whole belt, all the way from Stockton Creek,
yeah,
all the way in there,
yeah.
just so to be preserved.
Thank you. Thank you.
Natural tourism.
Yeah. And
You can
what
take
better?
some animals and bring them there, like the
Yeah.
hippo, because
Hmm.
the water. Go ahead, Alfonso.
Absolutely.
I just wanted.
And what better place? What better place to put a tourist? I mean, we live in the Philadelphia area. Go to how they call this place downtown Philadelphia? How they call it place? Oh, that comes to my mind.
You mean the
Pe-
zoo?
No, people go there and get on boats and go for rock
Oh, you
Pants
talking about
Landing.
the spirit of Philadelphia?
Go to Pants Landing, see the Spirit of
Penn's Landing. Okay.
Oh
Philadelphia.
yeah.
Pants Landing, Spirit of Philadelphia. We go there.
And
The
just
guy
use the Delaware River.
Delaware, it's the Delaware River. All they do to dredge it. There are several boats. The boats, some of the boats don't go anywhere. One of the most famous is Mosholu. Mosholu just sits on top of the river, but it's a big ship, big boat, big ship. It has several decks and stages. They got bars, they got nightclubs, they got restaurants, they got everything all sitting on top of the water. You just walk in, you want to go to a restaurant, you go there, you want to go to a place, you go. It's Monrovia, it's right there, it's right in front of our eyes. And then you can be on a boat and see those animals and those attractions. That's true. Add the when we were little and used to come to Monroe, we used to go to that place, go to that small island, where the people, the people are performing and celebrating everything. That is the place where free slaves returned
And settled.
and settled. They returned when black people brought when they were returned. That's the place the ship put them down. Don't you think that's a tourist attraction where we can generate money?
And look at the banks of the river. So poo poo, so
Yeah,
trash, so
yeah,
debris all
yeah,
around the
yeah,
slipway. They,
yeah,
they, they literally take the,
yeah,
the poo poo
yeah.
a toilet and they bring it in.
And they dump it there.
No. They build a poo poo toilet over the water.
Yeah.
You understand?
Uh, uh, when Ghana did the year of return, the year of return, they made $1 billion in 1 year time. $1 billion. I researched it. I read on a billion. Which country in Africa the slaves returned to? Two countries in Africa. Ghana is not one of them.
No. Sierra Leone.
Liberia and Sierra Leone.
Yeah.
We should be doing the year of return. If you go to South Carolina, North Carolina today, you will see Gola people there, you will see Kizzy people there. The
Mhm.
food they call gumbo in the South, in Louisiana and things, that our food. We take it, we mix all the fish and the thing and everything together. That's why they call it gumbo. That's what it is. There's a Senegalese who writes cookbooks and runs major restaurants. He talked about how the foods originated from Liberia. And he makes money in Louisiana. He has restaurants in this place in New York and all of that. So I hope President Boakai's appointment to the Ministry of Information, Culture Affairs, and Tourism and the allocation of resources
The
to
appointment
that.
has been made. Alfonso
Yeah,
is Gerald Limek Pia.
I know. Yeah, I say I hope his appointment and the resources he puts into that agency are focused on tourism and culture. We will make money. We will make money from those things if that is the focus.
But let's stop
And
there. Good point. And before Moses coming, Moses, you're coming
Mhm.
quick, but good point. But if Gerald Limek Pia is minimal and
yeah,
is constricted to only information piece,
yeah.
and that money coming in the budget, you think money will go to culture affairs and tourism?
No.
That's the disconnect here again. And let's call a spade a spade.
Well, if you put me to Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs, and Tourism for Kano, what I would say is that 80%, 75 to 80% of the revenue that comes to that entity will go towards tourism. There's no
And
information.
that is
Let,
you now.
let me just say
What
something
is
on
what is
that.
the information? I don't have an
Alfonso,
information for
let
tourism.
me
Yeah,
let me tell
yeah.
you,
Yeah,
the Ministry of Information is
yeah.
one of the least funded.
No, Moses, don't go back there.
No, no, no. What I'm saying, the point I'm trying to drive here, he said he would take about 80% of the money,
Yeah,
and put it into tourism and other things.
yeah.
How you gonna pay salaries?
Oh, so the way I pay salaries, Moses, thanks. That's a
Hmm.
good
Yeah,
question.
how will you pay the people?
Is that the staff? I will begin with the staff that I hire. The staff that I
You
hire.
harmonize them too, eh?
No, 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 no. The staff that I hire will
Hmm.
be staff that will be working on the tourism portfolio, not on the information portfolio. That's where
Also,
we begin.
so
Much of the
you take
yeah,
over as Minister of Information today.
yeah, yeah.
Immediately you get there, you say, "Oh, I don't want look the entire Liberian news. How you call it? What the new Liberian newspaper? That entire department, you're going to shut it down, right?
Oh, that one I don't even need
That is
approval.
beyond your authority. You can't
No,
do that.
no. It's within my purview. You
No,
know
it
what?
doesn't. You can't
No, you
shut it
know what's
down.
beyond my authority?
The paper
Lena
was
is
set
be
up by government.
I'm coming. Lena is beyond my authority. I will not touch it. I will seek authorization.
Yeah.
To close a newspaper down,
Hmm.
oh, it's within the authority of the minister. All the minister has to do is don't print the newspaper
I
and
say
put the
it's
So,
not.
but
It's not.
what happened to the entire editorial team, the entire crew you had there?
But
So
Moses,
you're going to go today to
Moses,
Ministry of Information, right away, you shut it down.
Moses.
So this is what you do.
That's okay. Because that's
Okay,
not what
this my
he's saying. He's
advice.
just saying in the
Yeah.
context of if this arrangement remains, we have agreed now that the entities should be separated. That's what we
Yeah.
propose here: the tourism, hospitality, and cultural affairs as a new bureau or a new ministry standing on its own, so that its funding and its employees can be in that direction. So my question to him was, for instance, a Jerolimic Pia, who is now information minister with these other arms connected, wouldn't his focus be solely on information and
Of course.
neglect that other component because it's not his expertise? He's not trained in that area. One will argue, say, oh, he has technocrats, or he's going to have an assistant minister or deputy for cultural affairs and tourism and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, you understand the construct of government in Liberia. The minister say, I your boss, and that's it.
Yeah. And
You
let
know,
me just piggyback on that, right? Volcano. Uh, Mr. Pierre goes to the Ministry of Information today. He's going to have a deputy for tourism. You're going to have a deputy for other sectors, administration, and all of that. But because the ministry is underfunded, the government pays no attention to tourism. As I speak to you now, the only national museum that we have in Liberia, located on Broad Street, that building is about to collapse because nobody paying attention to it. Nobody puts money into it. So what do? You can be the smartest man. Mr. Pierre is a very smart guy, but unless that monetary support is provided, Pierre will make no impact.
but then here's the other piece too,
He will
though.
make no
If
impact.
if the president Boaka is very much interested in tourism, as he claimed, tourism,
Mhm. Yeah,
because information is not on his arrest agenda, it's tourism.
yeah.
So then, if the budget is written for the Ministry of Information, then
They got to put a lot of
tourism
money in there.
coming out. So tourism and culture affairs should have more money in that budget that will be guided by the deputy for those components and the controller, that the minister will not have total shot over it. And then
I
when they
mean,
go for audit,
it can be a collaborative
no, when I
effort.
said total shot, that's what I said. I
Yeah,
said total.
okay.
Then when they go for audit, the portion amounts appropriated in the Ministry of Information budget. If we say that the budget 100%, but we take 50 and give it to tourism, 30 and give it to cultural affairs, and 20 to information, then we must ensure that that 50 is
Mhm.
absolutely used for
Or
for
tourism.
tourism and no explanation behind it. Because
Exactly.
once you go outside of that and
Mhm.
start to justify why you took, then you already compromised.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So
And
maybe that's the
and
way
to
to go.
add real quickly to that, that's exactly the point I was making. I said you pull me into information today. That's something I will work towards. Now,
there.
the second thing I would say to that is that tourism should not wait for government funding to fund all of it. You can go out and find people to invest. You can be creative and create things. Kendija existed with the small money that was still going into Liberia. There was a Kendija cultural center. There were cultural troops dancing around Liberia,
We've been traveling around the world.
traveling around the world. So you don't really need millions of dollars. Plus, you can generate millions of dollars by reaching out, writing proposals, going to people, bringing investors and business people into the country to invest in that very untapped sector. My understanding is that the WEA administration gave Patawi waterfall, for example, to a lady who's been struggling with it, trying to improve upon it. Maybe you assist her in that process. And I like Volcano's idea of hospitality. Hospitality includes what? Hotels. So how about you put a hotel up around Patawi so people are not driving from Monrovia to go to Patawi and come back to Monrovia? How about you put a hotel in Banga or something like that? Those kinds of things can be assisted and funded with private capital. It doesn't have to rely only on government. It has to do with the person in the position attracting resources to it. Should government put money into it? Absolutely. That is it. But I think there's no tourism sector in the world that's completely funded by government. You
No,
have to seek
So
investment.
let's hear from you, Moses. We gotta go
yeah.
because I got a last component on
I
this
don't think
topic. So it will be 3 minutes
yeah
for you.
oh, uh, the proposition here is not that government should 100% fund tourism. The proposition is that we want government to make tourism a priority. Pay attention to that. Tourism is, it's a diamond mine that the Liberian government is sitting over, but it is not paying attention to it. We talk about the island, how you call it? This place we all used to go there, man. The Bushra Island,
Providence,
right?
Providence Island, Providence,
Providence Island,
Providence
right?
Island. Yeah,
Providence Island, you clean that place, you got a boat ride.
yeah,
We went to Minnesota the other day. Did we not go for a boat ride?
yeah.
You invest as a government. As a government, you invest into that. People will be attracted to come. Why are Liberians going to Jamaica for weddings?
My man,
Why are Liberians going to Jamaica for birthday
I went to
celebration?
Jamaica. I said, but wait now, where the road going? You see the Jamaican roads there, my man, we got better roads.
You see
All
that?
that money that then I asked the Jamaican guy, I said, well, I hear on a road looking ugly and rough and I said I see corruption, the Africa here too.
You see that? Why?
And you go to a resort, the resort is just average. I see nothing different.
Absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely.
I see nothing
People fly
different.
from here to go
The
there.
ocean
So
is right across there. You seen the
Yeah,
ocean? I see
mhm,
ocean we got in Liberia.
yeah.
you you can do the same thing
Cape
with
Town,
Providence.
the blue.
The
Why
Bissau culture, the
what's in
Bissau
Cape
culture
Town? Is it a
center, right?
river? Yeah,
Yeah, Alphonso quickly, the Bissau culture center, right?
yeah.
Volcano. I think we all know about that.
Hmm.
You invest into that. Rivers Post,
Remember, I was supposed to
such a beautiful area.
hurts me
Like
every.
Alfonso was saying, you make that a priority. Say, look, you begin to hold discussion with international donors. That look, let us do a business. People who have interest, focus on that, and let ERBC worried about the news are obtaining for the day. That the press secretary worried about whether President Boaka will have a news conference or not. Focus on that. That's all you need.
Honorable,
Because the Minister of Information is coming to repeat the same information that the press secretary will give. They say, oh, the executive mansion having news conference. Then you tell people, oh, y'all go cover the mansion. Redundancy.
all
Yes.
right, let's move on. So,
Mhm.
gentlemen, we talked about information, we talked about Lena, and we talked about the importance of tourism, hospitality, and cultural affairs to kind of swallow up those other two components of the Ministry of Information. But one other thing that have always caught my eye over the years, even in my formative years, is the Ministry of Health and Social Welfare.
Okay, yeah, another good one. Yeah.
I was thinking to myself, why is social welfare attached to the Ministry of Health? And social welfare has never been an institution or component of the Ministry of Health that has really given back to the people. But if there was any time that social welfare becomes important, it is now, especially when we as government left the people to become beggars. Fathers can send their kids to school, they can afford it, family can barely feed themselves, but we have lawmakers making $15,000 a month, doing all kinds of stuff in the budget, getting legislative support money and all kinds of crap. And we have a viable entity attached to the Ministry of Health that is doing nothing. So then I thought about it, coupled with the fact that we've had our youth become what we consider in the local term zogos in the millions across the country. There is a great need for rehabilitation. So instead of Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, Ministry of Health should focus on Ministry of Health, the clinics, the hospital, the healthcare sectors of the country,
Physical health.
connect social welfare, make social welfare connected to rehabilitation, and create a new ministry, because we will need that ministry just the size of the population to
You
deal
can
with.
even Volcano, you can add it to gender.
No, 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 no. We're not going gender. Gender already has child protection services and all of that. That's a whole big
But
area.
that all of that will fall under social services.
No, you don't want to expand. You can create the Ministry of Rehabilitation and Social Services. That's a focus component, Moses, because you're talking population here of more than 1 million young people who need to be rehabilitated. And in the scheme of rehabilitating them, you also need to provide for them some start of sustenance so that they can be able to re-assimilate and find a way to become a part of society and be able to work through vocational rehab training and all of that to get their lives back together. This would be important, whether you make it a ministry, whether you make it a bureau, whatever it is. The Ministry of Rehabilitation and Social Services is a critical component right now in our country, and we must not overlook it. If you added the gender for child protection services, you just make it expensive, and you won't be able to deal with it. Because I want you to understand the focus of money for rehab and social services will be a portion to that population and to that need and services. Focus for money of gender, child protection services, because these are not the people that are doing the work. The people that are doing the work are in rehab and social services. The people that are actually protecting are the people in gender and child protection services. But the actual counselors and stuff, you want to use them in rehab and in social services to get our people back in the mainstream. That's my thought, and you guys can come in. But let me hear.
So before Moses comes, let me ask
Yeah,
you.
go ahead.
Let me ask you a quick question. Why do you want to split it up? Why do you think it should be split up?
What now? You mean health and social
Why
services?
you think we should take
Take it from Ministry of Health.
yeah.
Ministry of Health is strict, has always, for your time, my time, for as long as we've been on earth, has always been focused on the clinics, the hospital, and that's it. What is social? What a
But
component of
mental
social?
health, but mental challenges, social welfare, social children stuff are also health issues.
Yeah, but what I'm seeing is that
So I think what has happened in the past is that our ministries and ministers have failed to implement the mission for which they were
but
established.
That's
I'm
the point
trying.
you were making.
But the point I'm making here also is that you got to understand the population now.
Mhm,
In the era of rehabilitation, the number of Zogos in the country, more than 1 million.
mhm,
Ministry of Health is more focused on, like Moses said, the physical health aspect of people and people who can afford to go to hospital and pay their bills and go to clinics, and those public clinics who that can afford rather medication and stuff to help those people.
mhm.
How can you then take 1 million youth and add them to that component and social services to the Ministry of Health? I think they should be separate because of the sheer population that has increased to cater to this group.
I see.
That's the reason why I'm suggesting that. Because then
Okay.
you will look at the funding source. The funding source that coming for youth development, youth empowerment, youth rehabilitation, and social services, that monies will be used specifically in that area because you don't want people to say, oh, we didn't have drug in you couldn't clean it, so we went and took some money and we put it there to drugs. You want to focus because that's the pandemic or epidemic, however you use the word, that our country will face with. And Mr. Baga should know right now that he has inherited a big problem. And sometimes I'm wondering here, this is just his first 4.5 day in office. The real story ain't
I may
start.
have started. It may to go home.
Okay, bye. Okay. I said they make to half of the day, 12 o'clock. Bye. What you acting like that? 4.5 day, man. Again. The serious problem ain't start.
Man, the bro, we go to work for 1 hour, we get one whole day, man.
You hear me, Alphonso and Moses? The serious issue ain't start yet.
Yeah.
For those of us who work in healthcare in this country, it is a serious, and you're talking healthcare, behavioral care. So there's a difference here. Behavioral care is a part of that rehabilitation program. It's not just the health now, it's the mental health, the behavioral health, and all of that. So it's just my thought.
Yeah, so to add on to what Volcano said, in developed societies, uh, one of the foremost responsibility of any government is to care for the indigent, the poor, those who lack the ability to fend for themselves. That's why in the United States you have social service offices. You have the Department of Human Services, like in Philadelphia. In Delaware, you have the Department of Youth and Family Services and all of that. So that if Moses Sene loses his house tomorrow, he becomes homeless. Uh, Moses Sene will go to the State Service Center and say, "Hey, my family and I are homeless. We need help." The state will help Moses Sene and his family to get into a family shelter because as a state service center, they're going to make sure that they have shelter services across the country. If Moses Sonny lacks the ability to pay for medical, he goes to the state service center. The government will give him insurance to be able to cover that. If the state determines that hey, Moses Sonny is not a good guy, he's leaving his kids unattended. He doesn't pay attention. The kids are going to school, they look unkempt. Somebody will report it, then child protective services will come in and all of that. That's the purpose of this service center to help, you know, those who lack the ability to care for themselves, those that are considered um, at risk, the Zogos and all of that. That's why people make a lot of investment. But what we have seen over the year in Liberia, we have a social service division at the Ministry of Health, but that identical division is not providing the services that the people need most. They don't care whether you're homeless. They don't care. Let's use, for example, our brothers and sisters who are disabled. You see them, at various street corners, uh, looking out for handouts. That's a fundamental responsibility of the Division of Human Services to set up residential facilities for those people, get them off the street, make sure that those people's basic needs are met, attend to their health, attend to their mental health, attend to their educational needs. I mean, on a consistent basis. That's what we're supposed to be doing. But for us, we're only concerned about hospitals. That's what Volcano was saying. Oh, the man's sick. Even the hospitals, we don't put money there. So, like you guys have said, Mr. Barker has a lot of work to do.
You know what's scary, Moses?
No,
The population is not decreasing, it's
it's
increasing.
increasing.
That's the fear.
Yeah, the population is increasing.
And we've never been able to put structures in place, even when the
No, we don't. We
population
don't
was
care.
1.5 million, 2.5 million, 3.5 million. Now we 5.2 to 5.3 million,
Hmm.
and we're not getting smaller. And every time we come, it's business as usual.
Yeah,
So Mr. Barker said it will not be business as usual.
it's a
Instead of
huge.
appointing people because you see these positions are available, start rethinking.
Yeah, what
We
do we
need this.
to
But
address
we
to
split
meet
it
these
up.
needs? Yeah,
This
to
is
meet these
where
needs.
we have voted for this change. We want people to start thinking. Don't just come because you see job, then you want job, and then you want put somebody there. Because political patronage, political affiliation, political alliance, you want to look now and say, listen, I'm the president. I'm not the last guy for here. Where are the think tankers? This president should be
Volcano, volcano.
yeah.
Stop right there. Stop.
Thank you.
You know what you just said? You made a very important point. I don't want you to bury it. You will continue. Where are the think tanks and the think tankers in Liberia? That's a very critical point. Continue, and I will come back to it.
You know,
Those are the people, the think tanks are the brains and the minds of every good functioning society. But sorry, go
these are
ahead.
not people that you appointing to make big salaries or so. This is
Yeah,
people who vested in the
yeah,
new development of the country, the new direction of the country. We use the word trajectory.
yeah,
Where are we going? Why do we continue to keep the same redundancy rather,
Yeah,
in the government structure?
yeah,
Why?
yeah,
You see, you appointed Mr. Barker. Why
yeah.
are some of these appointments necessary now? Do we focus on the bread and butter issue and appoint people to begin to work with their expertise and right away put their teams together to start addressing some of the very pressing issues in the country? We inherited a country of 6 years where the country ran itself,
yeah. It
but no
was on
one was held
autopilot.
accountable. So we can come back and start the same thing and want to begin the same way. So start thinking, bring your best minds together. I know they have a problem with those of us in the diaspora, but damn sure that most of us in the diaspora have gained a lot. We were already in Liberia, smart people. We came here and they made us smarter. And so maybe that's why sometimes they get afraid. And there's some very good diasporans here who have good intention. There's some who run to Liberia for job. We agree. There's some of those who were in government because they later on we didn't look the way they came here. They lied down here for 6 years. Every day they pray. Now Unity Party is back in the alliance, and so they're running back to get jobs. But that's not the essence of moving our country forward. The essence of
True.
moving our country forward is to put an expert team together to begin to look at what is important now. And if the small money that we are saying he left there, let's start with that small money. Let's shrink the budget. We're talking harmonizing all the other things and the tricky thing that they're talking about. But let's put priorities in place and to begin with that. Let's put a think tank together, people who will say, listen, we sit around the table and we look at the issues, we draw from it and say, this has not helped us for 150 years, 175 years. It's obsolete, it's archaic, it's mundane, it's antediluvian. Let me use all of the words behind it. And let's find fresh, new ideas to move our country. Alfonso, coming.
I agree with much of what you're saying. Um, I don't know if President Boakai will be that transformative leader that Liberia needs and is looking for to attack and try to reform a lot of these
Oh,
institutions
cool. Fulfillability.
to make
Thank
sure
you,
that,
Fulfi.
yeah, that you talk about. But it's really important. Beginning from the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs, and Tourism, the reform that is needed there. Go into some of the suggestions that I put on Facebook the other day on internet.
And by the way, thanks, man. You do a lot of good analysis.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah. So those are the things, those are the places I the think tank. And that's the reason I paused you a little bit when you mentioned think tanks and think tankers. That's where I'm wishing and hoping that this government will go. Think tanks. People who will sit down and study and say, where are we? Why are we here? Where are the problems we're facing? What's causing these problems? If these are the causes of the problems, how can we resolve them? Let's look for one, two, three, four way you put on the table, then resolve. Then we talk about it and get to this point. That is something in somewhere that Liberia has been lacking for a very, very long time. We just continue. It happened under President Talbot a little bit. A few agencies of government ministries were changed around, some were closed, some were whatever. Ellen tried by putting the gender ministry and putting other places into place. There was also, I believe, a ministry of public works, and then there
No,
was
no, no. Gender was not established by Ellen, a child stealer.
okay, okay. That and then before in Tarver, I think when Tarver took over, or it was the time I don't remember. I don't know, but I read about it. I don't remember. There was a ministry of public works, and then there was a ministry
No
of
development.
rural development. Later, they were merged because one can do both. I think we need to get to a point where our government, our people begin to sit down and think about the problems that are ailing us. Unfortunately, as a people, we don't do that. The only thing we do, we think, well, once we change leadership, then change will come. No, that's not how it happens. Because if the leaders themselves don't even look at what the challenges are and try to things into place to address those challenges, real change will not come. We'll just be changing human beings. This conversation about the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs, and Tourism has taken place for decades.
Oh yeah.
For decades. We're not the first people, this is not the
No,
first
we
time
are
to
not.
raise this.
No.
But it's never happened. You know why? Because we've only been changing leaders. We've not been having people who started these things and say we need to do this, we need to do that. And that is extremely where we need to go. And again, that's why when you said think tank, I paused you right there. We don't think, we don't do research. There was a time I went and did research on UNDP site and UNICEF, and I posted a number of children in schools in Liberia, number of children out of school in Liberia, and all of that. And one government official or representative said, what year was that research done? It's old research. I said, okay, show me the new one that your government did. Just show me the new one that your government did. How do you address the education problem in your country when you don't even study it? You pay YFE, but you don't know how many children pass in high school before they even go to YFE. How is that even an issue? How is paying YFE even a solution? You got people in the country getting malaria every day. How many children get malaria and die before they reach A5? You don't even know that. You don't study that. How you even make an impact? You got Zogos in the country. Both of you talk about Zogos and all of that. Let's do a research. How many Zogo we get in the country? How many Nimba? How many Granjida? What's impacting them? What are the healthcare they're getting? You don't even have that. But you just jump on, you say we address local problem. How are you going to address it? I made a
No,
suggestion.
you only know the significance when it's time for elections.
Exactly. I made a suggestion to a friend of mine the other day to they wrote a whole comprehensive paper on mental health and they presented it to President Barker when he was here. And I said, great idea. But you know one thing you should include our people? You see number 14 military hospital? Maybe they should turn that number 14 military hospital into a mental health psychiatric hospital. Or maybe a component of it should be turned into that. And my suggestion came from what Dr. Zia told us when we hosted him here. The only mental health facility in the country run by government is 15 bed in somebody's house. So again, these are the things that think tanks would think about and study instead of just going into processes. So I think that's an important one you both make very critical.
Yeah, man, Sumoye, he says the best substitute for the new ministry who proposing rehabilitation and social services should be the Minister of State Ministry of State with all portfolio. What
Yep.
the heck is a Ministry of State with all portfolio?
Yeah.
Then you got Minister of State again. What we doing here?
So the
Minister of
minister
State.
of state with our portfolio is that the person
Okay,
has no
hold on, man.
yeah.
I meant Dole created that thing to put John Bear there. Hey, man.
No,
Yeah,
no,
so over the years,
Tauber,
what they
no,
have done to
Tauber,
use
no,
that
it's
person.
just that under Tauber. Tauber did.
Okay,
Mhm.
I just thought out.
Tauber did.
So,
I just
so
thought it
what they
was
have
John
done over
Bear.
the year is to just use that person for whatever assignment that the
Yeah.
president
Mhm.
decides on that. Hey, I want you to jump on this and do that.
It's the
You know,
president's messenger,
but
basically. Yeah.
if I can just comment a little bit on what you guys said regarding the issue of the Zogo. If you want to solve any social problem, there are a couple of things that you do. First, you want to understand what is the problem. In the case of the Zogos, why Zogos? Then your next question is, what is the causation of this problem here? Are we controlling substance use? What are we doing as a government? Why is it that we have so much drug dealers all over the place? Then
Well,
your next
they
question
say,
is,
AB Kuruma will clean it up.
yeah. Then your next question, and that is the point that Alfonso made, and you also talk about that, the prevalence of the problem. How many Zogos do we have in this country? Where are they? That's the kind of data you need to drive your agenda. Then the next thing you think about are the implication of this problem. How is this affecting us as a country?
Yep.
Oh, many people are breaking into people's homes, or we have so many of them in prison. The crime rate in the country has increased. Now you have to go to bed 6 o'clock in the night because the Zogos are coming after you.
Yep.
Now you know that you have a social problem because you have identified the causation, the implications, the profound nature of this. They say, no, this is nothing unusual. This is a real problem. We need to address this. Then you begin to formulate what? Solution to this problem. And that is just something that people abroad, I'm not trying to put most of our colleagues on, but people who don't understand this problem would lack the ability to do this kind of a critical thinking. When a position comes out and the people think about giving that to somebody abroad who has worked over the year, who knows how to formulate this. Many people come from America, they come and take our job. But my man, you read there in Monrovia, you've been there for over 30 years.
you,
You don't
you,
even
you,
understand the social dynamic of this.
all you know is just see Zogo there all around
Yeah, and
you.
you say, oh, they must make you deputy minister of health for social services. What idea are you bringing?
And
Oh man,
most are not cutting you off. They see
yeah,
Zogo, they don't want to treat them, the mental
yeah.
condition.
They
They
call them
just
crazy
want to
people.
criminalize the whole thing, beat
Mhm.
the people up, put them in jail. And you can't criminalize it. Those people have mental ailments. I
Yeah,
was just adding to you, Moses.
no,
Thank
you're
you.
absolutely right.
Yeah,
This guy has serious mental health problems.
yeah.
We need to find solution to that. So that's why you need professional people. Say, hey, I think Volcano, I think you have a good understanding of this problem. We should give you preference over, even though this guy was one of our loyalists. But I think you have what it takes to do this job. You're not trying to put the band down, but you want somebody that will hit the ground running.
Hmm.
You develop a national rehabilitation program for these people.
Yes.
The crime rate so high.
Yes.
But go to Monrovia tomorrow. As soon as they see, they say, oh man, I come for our job. Where are we going?
But you saw the inauguration was back. That's there to tell you. The woman said they only had 4,000 and they end up having 7,000.
Yeah.
That's small human being there.
And
But
you
man,
know
that
what
place was
happened? My
overcrowded.
my cousin told me that some of those guys got in when Moses get invitation, we take most of the invitation and take it to Wall Street.
Yeah, and they make copy,
They
yeah.
call it
And
World Trade Center.
Mm-hmm.
they print at World Trade Center.
Mm-hmm.
They print it the exact same way.
Mm-hmm.
So when you and myself go, we show the invitation. It looked like the
We're
real
invited.
invitation. So they
Yeah.
let us in.
And another thing too, Alfonso, you shouldn't forget about. You get to the event, the very security people say, man, what you brought for your man there? They're not even asking you whether you have invitation or not.
Yeah.
You give the man 100 Liberian dollars, say, my man, go, man. Nobody gonna be checking you.
Especially when you come from America, you
Oh,
can
for
pull.
oh no,
Get a
my man,
man $5,
you
$10.
get a man $5 plenty money, my man. You know.
So yeah, gentlemen, I think we've exhausted the time now. Let's do memory lane and what type of country is this? So we can get out of here. I got a pressing engagement tonight. I
Yeah.
I got something to be told.
Yeah, I gotta run myself.
So
I
I'm
will I would like to start with this sad story, a video that I saw. What type of country is this?
but you can't wait until we get to it. I gotta do memory lane.
Oh, memory lane. Yeah, go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm
All right.
sorry.
All right. So we're gonna do memory lane here tonight by Dr. Manin Sumo, and it's captioned "A Grateful Generation." A grateful generation. We who that were born between 1959 to 1989 are so blessed. We're so blessed. Yes, we are very blessed indeed. We joined those born in the 1800s during the slavery to change once a heinous maltreatment of black slaves to a unique custom of love and friendship. That is the Liberian handshake, aka known as snap shake, greeting which originated in the slave plantations when you grabs the middle finger of the other person's right hand between your thumb and the wedding ring finger, bring it up quickly with a snap. Here we go. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This custom of handshake derived from the days of slavery in the United States, when a slave owner often would break the middle finger of a slave's hand to indicate bondage. The slave snapped their fingers to indicate theirs were not yet broken. Liberia and Sierra Leone are the most, or rather, two most notable countries that greet with the snap shake. We call those born in the 1920s through the 1950s our grandfathers and grandmothers. We call those born in the 1980s through 2000 our children and grandchildren. We are the generation that have seen and heard it all. Oh, what a blessing! What a blessing! What a blessed generation. We're the ones who rode our bikes and sidewalk taxis and left them outdoors to see them the next day, not worrying about Zogos. We are the ones who washed our clothes and left them outdoors to see them the next day. We are the ones who made our own toys and played with them. We are the ones who did not build our homes with iron gates and barricaded with high fences like prisons. We are the ones who played music from the gramophone, cassette tape, and record player, aka LPs. We are the ones who did not own a PlayStation, a DVD, a CD, an MP3, or YouTube. Our parents were poor, but they made it happen. We are the ones also enjoying the artificial intelligence today. We're the ones who communicated through the talking drum, the telegraph, and the telegram. We are the ones who did not use cell phone, Facebook, and Instagram to chat and make friends. We did not send a friend request, yet we made good friends. We are the ones who send the RL mails and now emails. We are the generation to be grateful. Indeed, we are grateful. We are the ones who respect our elderly and sought wisdom from them and wished them long life. We're the ones who pray as a family and lived as a family. We're the ones who witnessed the 27 years of Tutman. We are the ones who witnessed the 79 rice riot. We are the ones who witnessed the 1980 coup d'etat. We're the ones who joined you and you to eat Baba John and palm cabbage. We're the ones who joined you to restore peace to Liberia. Oh, yes, we are the ones. We're the ones who joined you to elect President Taylor. We're the ones who joined you to elect President Sirleaf. We are the ones who joined you to elect President Weah. Now we are the ones who have just joined you to elect President Boakai. We are a unique generation. We're not just special, we are unlimited. So, for the first time, we are asking you to join us. We're just asking you to do for us one favor. Can you take a walk with Joe? Just a closer walk with Joe. A coming peace. And this one is written by Dr. Mani Sumo, our major contributor here to the Issues Room, and is captioned A Grateful Generation.
Yes.
Welcome to what type of country is this? We're ready now to shoot it. For those of you who just joining us, this is our humorous section. You can type in, we'll read your stuff. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Issues Room, Tuesdays, Fridays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Moses Sandy, Alphonso Yeno, and Volcano Shelton. Moses, you say you wanted to kick it off.
Yes. Let me tell Dr. Um, Sumbo, thank you. Take a walk with Joe. Another beautiful piece. Dr. Smart, you did a great job on that. I mean, every time you write, man, I really admire your style writing. Very creative writer, Keep it up. Now, Volcano, what type of country is this, Volcano? I saw a video. I don't know if you saw that video today on Spoon. Volcano, it broke my heart. Um, every day people say Liberians in the diaspora are not developing in Liberia, are not undertaking projects. I saw a Liberian and her husband who having to be an American, a Caucasian. This lady, she said in
The
2020,
husband is
is
Liberian.
Caucasian and she's
Okay.
Liberian.
Okay.
I think in 2022, they decided to buy a home in Liberia. There's this company called, it's a Liberian owned company that is into real estate. They make these promises that they will help you. You don't have to go through a third party. You make the payment to them, they erect your structure, and you just go and move in. It's almost like what we do here at Volcano. You want a home, you go through the you go through a realtor, and then they get you connected with whatever the construction company is that undertake the project, and you just move into your property. So this lady said they met this Liberian company, the leadership of this Liberian company called Millennium. Sometimes you see their ads on social media. She she and her husband pay $26,000 for a home. They went to Liberia. The arrangement was make the first payment. They paid $10,000. They came back to the United States in less than 2 weeks. They sent the balance $16,000. The contractors reportedly told them that the house would have been completed by February of 2023, Volcano. Since then, the house is yet to be completed. And what really touched me emotionally was that they made this lady to ship household items because they have made repeated promises. They say, hey, December, your house will be ready. They will more bought household items, shipped them to Liberia, she and her husband. They flew in, only to get there, the house wasn't ready.
Wasn't ready or wasn't built.
Wasn't the house remained incomplete. If you go to Spoon, you will see a structure. I don't know whether that even that one belongs to them, because they say, according to the lady, so many people have been duped by this very company. It's like the running of Ponzi scheme. They take your money, they take my money, the other man causing too much of noise, then they pay in, then they take another person coming in again. She said they decided to go to court. They went to court. A writ of arrest was issued for the manager of the company. When the sheriff took the writ, the manager of the company made a phone call to a judge, and the judge said he wanted to talk to the sheriff. He ordered the sheriff to leave. Volcano, what type of country is this? That corruption has taken over almost everything, my man. Okay, that's the video.
Line Davis, and she can
Play.
all the rest of the stuff too.
What type of country is this?
All right, good morning, everyone. We've gathered here this morning to expose a fraud that was perpetrated against us by Mr. Mohammed Abdullah and his Millennia Construction Incorporated. In December of 2021, we purchased a property with Millennium Construction. We agreed and signed a contract that our home will be ready and delivered to us by December of 2022. We returned to the United States and we made periodic checks on progress of our home. We were always told that everything was going well. Excited about our new home, we purchased our household items to furnish and shipped them to Liberia prior to coming in December of 2022. We arrived in Liberia and picked the items we shipped from the free port of Liberia. We came here to Millennia Property to receive our home. We were joyfully received by one of their agents and taken to the home to show us. When we arrived to the property, it was only then, to our amazement, that we saw and learned that the house was not ready. It was not roofed. There was no doors or windows, and grass was everywhere in every room, as you can see. In shock, we asked what was going on, what they were showing us. Millennia agent responded by saying, "This is your house. We are working on it." Later, we met with Mr. Mohammed Abdullah, asked him what was going on with our home. He made excuses about why the house wasn't ready. We asked why didn't he inform us so we wouldn't have purchased items to furnish the home, bought tickets to make the trip to Liberia. He blamed his lack of communication on his workers.
Thomas
Mr.
Tuve.
Mohammed actually begged us to be patient and wait until the end of
Yeah.
February of 2023, and our home will be ready. We put that into writing and departed for the US again. At the end of February 2023, the house wasn't ready. Then he said the end of June 2023. That date came and passed, and the home was still not ready. Then they said August 2023. It wasn't ready either. We informed Millennium that we were coming in December and looking forward to staying in our home. We arrived in December 2023 and the house was still not ready. Tired of being pushed around, we decided since Millennium Construction has forfeited on the agreement multiple times and we were tired running after them, we were we were no longer interested in the house and we wanted our money back in full with interest for the 2 years as stipulated in the agreement. Monrovia has not given us our money back and they want to do it on their own terms. In fact, although they breached the contract, they want to take $1,500 of our money. We went to the court at the Temple of Justice to file a suit against Mr. Abdullah and his company. Yesterday, which was January 25th, um, the sheriff brought the writ of arrest. A writ of arrest was issued. The sheriff brought the writ of arrest and served him. And while on the way to the court, he called a specific judge at the Temple of Justice who ordered the sheriff to let him go.
See that?
We believe that Mr. Abdullah and his folks are running a Ponzi scheme, and they can do this with such confidence because they have backing of folks in higher places in government. This this has been the norm until January 2022, January 22nd, 2024. We are exposing this scheme because we don't want others to fall to their scam and be victimized as Mr. Abdullah and his company has done to us. Thank you.
So that tells you first, let me say, because I go to Liberia, do construction work, $26,000 can build a house. Is a drop in the bucket.
Okay.
Not that house I'm looking at.
Okay.
It tells you that it's a Ponzi scheme
It's a
because
Ponzi scheme. They take your money.
$26,000 cannot build that house. It may build a 2-bedroom with a 1 little bathroom in the middle, a small little house, not with sophistications. Because you're talking about a house. When you talk about a house, the foundation, just the foundation, the size of this house, good solid foundation based on the elevation of the foundation and all of the crushed rocks and the cement and all the steel rods, that can run you anywhere around $5,000. Just the foundation or more, based on the kind of work you're gonna
Hey, you
do.
want something solid? Yeah.
Then you're talking about carrying the walls up. This house size could be anywhere around 3,500 or 4,000 blocks. One good concrete block made locally is $1 for $1. So that $4,000, then he's talking about cement and sand. Wow. You're talking Linton. You're talking pillows. You're talking workmanship. That's close to $8,000. We're talking $13,000 gone just to take the house from foundation to elevation. Then from there, you got to roof it. So when you go to roof the house, wood by itself in Liberia, it's very costly. Then you're talking zinc. You're talking nails. You're talking the carpenters. All of those things will run you again around $5,000 for this house I'm looking at. Then how much now? You're down to $18,000.
Yeah.
You even put you just want a roof now, like you're
Yeah.
looking at it.
Yeah.
Talking about
You even
iron.
talk about windows and all of
Absolutely
that.
not. You're talking about iron bar because you got to protect the house first. So you do the iron bar, you do the iron door to all the major doors. Okay, that can run you again in the tune of $3,000 to $4,000. You're down to 22. You're left with $4,000. $4,000 plastering. You haven't done floors. You haven't done plumbing fixture. You haven't done tiling. You haven't done ceiling. You haven't done electrical and plumbing. Then you're talking about the aesthetics. Then the glass windows. $26,000 can build this house. So they unabated in 2021. And interestingly, they just felt that it would push the people around, they would give up on them. And what happened here in this deal? So what type of country is this? You know that $26,000 can really build a house, and then you take the people money, all because you didn't want to go up. I think they saw the papier, they said the papier will die before he even come back.
This is sad.
So,
Mhm.
so they told the people money, and the old man, did that feel the old man being all here for long? She ain't coming back here again. We'll eat it home and we'll be wrapping her, see the house building. We'll be sending her different picture, tell her to do it. And then when the old man come with it on the ground, that's the reality. The house is half roof. That house I'm looking at is about $26,000 in its current condition. And they
Okay.
realized that no, we're unabated and we don't have the rest of the money. This house is a 75 grand house you're looking at here. 75 grand. You even talk about the ramp to go to the garage and all of that. So Moses, this is what I do all the time when I go to Liberia. Cost of material so expensive.
Yeah, but if we were to just take it on the surface of what she's saying,
Mhm.
that blame will be shifted squarely to the company.
I agree, but
Yeah,
we
in
gotta
the
know also
business,
the
yeah.
house plan. But if this is the house, this house is huge. I'm
Mhm.
looking at this house. It's a very big house, and $26,000 cannot build this house. It is able to bring this house to this position where is at now.
Why take the money? It means you had a criminal intent.
But
You know,
let's move on, my man. This is a separate discussion. So, what type of country is this? Thomas Awaji, where a
Mhm.
man living in America for 20 years, never been back, but telling people they can build your house back home.
Oh wow. Also, maybe is this thing a millionaire guy he's
Yeah.
talking about?
Hmm. Hmm.
So they take the people money from them,
Hmm.
lie to them. They say, "Hey, you don't have to go through family." Volcano, you can better speak to this. Family members, you depend on them to help you. They let you down. He said, "Well, you know what?
We can
Yeah.
do a discussion. That is why I make it simple. I go to Liberia every year to do my projects myself. I put on my short tracey, I push wheelbarrow, I get on pimping, I go to the evening mail, I negotiate my own deal, transportation inside, yeah, okay, everything I pay, I stay with them, we carry my material and drop it down. I follow my material until my structure is built. I do the same for friends. I buy land for friends to give me the money. I get it probated. I bring the deed to them to go. They can verify. It's about honesty because I know what it means to leave from here. The money you take to transport yourself in preparation to go to Liberia to do these things. That's about 5 grand. Ticket, housing, food, all of that. But that 5 grand can do something if you got somebody trustworthy to
Mhm.
do it for you.
Yeah.
Right now, I have 2 apartments to do. I've done the minor things that I can do from here. The other things, I'm going to go and do it myself because I don't want to get there. Then the tile to put on the floor, they're not the tile.
Whatever you want, yeah.
The commode to put there at the $60 commode. I don't want that. So you can only do certain things, but you got to follow your project. You can't put it in anybody's hand. The country is red. The country
What
is
type
red.
of country is this?
The man received $3,000 through MoneyGram or SendWave or something. The first thing he wants to stop to get a cold beer. One cold beer leads to the next cold beer. By the time you know the man, I drink $100 of your money. I'm
You
telling
call it
you,
man now, you can't answer a phone again. Oh.
the man get that money from the man going to drink. The first thing going to drink cold beer.
Man said, "Make sure, man."
You get me? And then that $100 he took to eat that $8 a bag of cement. So eight times 10, that 80, right?
About $80.
Yeah. So
So in a man,
got
in a man,
another 3 times 8, 24. So that almost like what do you call
12 bags.
12, 13 bags, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when the man are drinking your 12, 13 bags, then, then he telling the man to miss 5 bag. I mean 1 bag to 4 week to 4 week. You understand me?
That when the black become very, it becomes so
That's it.
I was saying there, right?
That's what I'm saying. Because the man I sit and drink, the man finish drinking what they call it, $100. Oh, so the 12, 13 bag.
Then the man will say, my
You
man,
gotta go and tell the man and say, my man, listen, you put 3 weeks to 1 bag for plastering you. Whereas it should be 2 weeks to 1 bag. If
okay.
you want to push it, you go 2.5 weeks. But the man telling you put 3.5 weeks, then put 5 more shovel on top of it. And that's what going on. So it's better to just go and do your thing. Or if you find somebody who's very trustworthy to do it for you.
My man, the
What type of
situation is
country is
that.
this?
What type of country is this, my man? You
Well,
can't trust anybody.
living in the US actually believe that 26K can build a modern house. It's not possible, Moses.
No, I would not fault this
But,
couple.
but listen to me. The first thing they should be asking around. They here in America. Like the old man can tell me, like, when people you think 26,000 I can build house. Yeah, they plan they give me. I would tell them, no, man, they're lying to you. They will just take your money. I'll be straight on this with her. I'm telling you, $26,000 can build a very small little house. A small little house. The bedroom may be 12 by 12 in the master bedroom, a small bathroom, or one bathroom in the hall, in a smaller room, 11 by 11, a small living room, kitchen here and there. They'll just crunch it up, put a cheap roof over it, and call it a house.
It's sad,
26,000
man.
can build that. But not the size of this house I'm looking at.
Mhm.
It's not possible.
It is just a sad situation. No, very sad.
And you see,
Very-
I want to say, yeah, the man drink cold beer, a 10 bag of cement gone already. Your 10 bag gone.
yeah,
Frankie McCaffrey, what type of country is this? All the ministry are linked together as one.
Hmm.
How will you focus on the purpose or divide the money equally?
whatever country is there, when you are linear director general, you gotta be running behind keke. Listen, the man are linear director general, when the man running behind keke.
Next question again.
Lord Jesus.
What type of country is this? Shaggy McCaffrey. 1 second, Georgia was in Liberia. JB boot his eyes. Now Georgia is in the air to France.
What type of country is there? What type of country is there? After serving the country for 6 years, the people say, no, we don't want you there. You get vexed with everybody. The man say, out of the country, yeah. I live in your country where you and you say you don't want me. What type of country is this, my man?
Stupid man. He say the people in the paper retirement money. Yeah, poor papi. You know,
Not sympathize with the people who
you
told us.
know the interesting thing. The interesting thing, the papi will feel Bible like bureau, my man.
Yeah.
Papi had high hopes to go enjoy the ocean.
Yeah.
I want sweet African sunshine. Then the man and I can scam the poor people. What type of country is this? Where so-called smart people in the diaspora always fall for that home building scam in Liberia.
You know.
Tell you what, man.
Took the people to the G, my man.
What type of country is this? When Moses senators, what type of country is this to an arbitrary commission?
All right, Dr. Sumo.
What type of country is this, Thomas Awaji, where the popular, well-known singer ate the people's inauguration money? Meta formula.
Miata family gotta say something. Yo.
What type of country is this, man? Sumo? When you have a minister of government with our portfolio, but gets paid while our children turn Zogo and homeless. What type of country is this?
What type of country is it? What type of country is this that you pay $17,000 for 30 vehicles for 2 days for rental? My man, the corruption in Liberia too much.
It's like you leave from one place to the next place, one government to the next government. Everybody promises to be a savior, and then they come to tend to fall.
If you say car rental, my man, one day you pay $350 for one car. Yeah, all the Japanese cars, oh. Well, people are jokers, my man.
What type of
Mr. Ed-
country is this that have no minister with portfolio? You gotta be with all portfolio.
Yeah, and then Miata said she gave our man a wallow. What a water bunny. Yeah, Chris Wallow. She said she gave Chris Wallow 60,000. Now Chris Wallow said, no, 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 that 10,000 I got.
Uh,
And then Miata, you got explanation. Oh.
well, it's her press conference. She's being emphatic. She says the people side along her, especially that Ministry of Foreign Affairs. She says she had Kwame Clement to be the MC.
Mm-hmm.
It posted the protocol person should be the protocol woman should be the what do you call it?
Be the MC.
Yeah. Thomas Awaji just say that puppy is vexed like hell. He got to go to work at Walmart to get his retirement money back. Yeah, he will be the greeter. Welcome to Walmart.
Yeah, my man, 26,000 now, my man. And that's small money now. A good money now, my man.
Yeah. For
Yeah.
average man.
You know.
Yeah, my man. So that either about let go. I got something important to do.
Yeah, it's a great show. It was a pleasure again, man. Yeah, and let me say thank you to our people for joining us. We hope that some insiders of the government will take the message to the president. That Mr. President, you need to begin to rethink, whether you're going to keep the Ministry of Information or not. And some of these sectors of society where there are just too many duplications. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to wrap it.
Thank you, everyone. Let me put you backstage quick and just recognize some folks here. Shaki McCaffrey, Thomas Awaji. Thank you for joining us here tonight. Liberia, minus Sumo, Tony and Brooks. It was good seeing you. Raymond Clark, Christopher Wesley. Thank you for joining us. Always good to see you, wonderful people. Fulfillability in Tunisia. Good to see you, my brother. Welcome. Come back again on Tuesday next week. We'll be here 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't know the time in Tunisia, but it was good having you here with us. Raleigh Siaple, good to see you. Flomo Livingstone, of course. Always good to see you. Tio and Sampon Jr., it was good seeing you. Dora David, welcome, all you good people. Adiaha Umo, always good to see you, man, for your continued viewership. Again, we say good night. We'll be back here on Tuesday, God's willing, Volcano Shelton, on behalf of Moses Sandy and Alphonso Yena. This 217th broadcast in the Issues Room here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Have a good night.